All right, welcome back to Two Song Podcast. This is Chris.
And this is Cam.
And this is a show where we try and sort every song ever into one of two categories. Either a love song.
Or a fight song.
Yep, exactly right.
Yeah, and this is episode 112 of our show.
Yeah, that's right. And that, I almost said little, but that kind of lengthy intro, especially by today's standards that you just heard, is a song that is having this awesome, well-deserved resurgence because it's now, again, a pop tune, which is so cool.
Yeah.
Good for this
Phenomenon. Kind of.
Yeah, sorry. That's all right. No, it's definitely, but it's just good for this artist. And we alluded to it a few episodes ago, like with the band Willis only having to wait a few years for their big break. But this is a Kate Bush song from 1985 that was supposed to be called A Deal with God. And then, like a lot of songs back then, it became the title, Running Up That Hill, parentheses, A Deal with God. So just an absolute mouthful. Sounds like a book, really. It's like Running Up That Hill, parentheses, A Deal with God, colon, the Kate Bush story. Like, so much. But that was like a common thing to be like, well, artistically, I like this title, but this is like what people are going to know it by. And I don't know if there are a lot of people searching on the internet by song titles in 1985.
No, that's true.
Probably not a lot.
Maybe zero.
Yeah, but I don't know. But I know of other songs that are that way. Like this is the title, but you know this part. Like the Who has that song Baba O'Reilly, that people are like, is that Behind Blue Eyes? It's like that's the one.
Yeah, it's parentheses too, right?
Yeah, cool. And that's just so people will know the song. I don't know. Or maybe if you flip it over at a record store, you'd be like, oh, I've heard this on the radio.
Yeah. And I'm kind of thinking maybe it's like, for both types of people, it's like, well, some type of people, A Deal with God might stand out. Some people Running Up That Hill might stand out.
Yeah.
Because when you started talking about it, I went and searched A Deal with God. So.
Oh, man. Cool. Yeah, I think there was some like discussion with the label, like we want to have it be less God in the title. Because you're not a Christian artist, let's just have you be, you're not a gospel singer.
Yeah.
Let's just have it be more of like a title. So that's what, I don't know, that's what we got. But
cool.
I like this intro. It's like 20-something seconds long. And I love those weird little sounds.
I know, what instrument is that?
Dude, in the show that, I forget what it is, but I guess it's a pretty big show. They don't let you hear that part. They only let you hear this awesome chorus, which we're obviously going to get to. But yeah, I like this intro a lot.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. And the bass drum that's happening just is really like fast and interesting too. It's really cool. It's a really fun intro.
I was thinking that thing doing those little parts, those little distracting parts, sounds like an air control power tool.
Oh, yeah.
Like
a pit stop in a NASCAR race.
I was kind of thinking that, it's like someone just like throttle wide open on an air compressor tool and like snatching parts apart, like snatching lug nuts off,
Just sampled it and like toned it down and pitched it down a little bit here and there or something.
I like I think it's the last one it does. Like it's like it's a pretty high, it's similar in the intervals. The first note's pretty high and then it goes really low, like lower than it has the whole time. And it's like a big step down, and I was like, that's so weird that it does that.
Yeah. There's a lot of surprising stuff happening in this song, especially for it to be like 37 years old. It's older than both of us.
Wow, yeah, it is.
But she was doing some really cool stuff, and from what I've heard, just from people talking about it and my own research, she was like the singer and the writer and the producer. Like she was just basically making her own stuff, which is kind of, maybe, I don't know if that was a thing back then, but it seems like, with modern technology, it's a lot easier to produce your own stuff. So it's just really impressive that she was doing that and making all these crazy sounds in '85.
Yeah, I'd seen a similar thing, that she was then and still is an indie artist, always has been. Yeah. And she owns her own label, which means that now, because of being on Netflix and being on Netflix's biggest show ever.
Yeah, whatever it's called.
Yeah, she now gets, some people estimating, we won't know until those vultures, they like go get celebrities' tax returns and like, and then sometimes exaggerate the numbers, put it online, but some people are estimating she's getting about $250,000 a week
Oh my God.
in royalties from being,
Because there's no label to pay and there's no other people.
yeah, well, and she checks herself on all those boxes. She's like, well, the artist has to get paid, that's me. The right, like the, not just the performer, but the writer, for me, the, wow, yeah, the record label has to get their cut, that's also me. So
That's
good for her.
amazing. Yeah, good for Kate.
So cool.
And it seems like she's been like really grateful and like just cool about it too. Just like, wow. I mean, it's unheard of.
Yeah, seriously, yeah, and but you're right, she is definitely leaning into it. Man, yeah.
I haven't really seen new music from her, and it's so hard to tell these days. If you go to Spotify or wherever you get your music, you know they remastered like all of her stuff in 2018, and even before that they were kind of like making stereo versions and stuff, and trying to just look at the timeline of her releases. There's something that came out in like 2011, but I couldn't really see that she's like put anything new out. You know, like I said, remasters in 2018, but it'd be kind of cool if she like gets back into music. 'Cause,
Yeah.
all this success and people appreciating her.
It would be really cool.
Again.
Yeah, no, that'd be awesome. I mean, that would do it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
And she has like an opportunity to like, you know, play off this fan base and all these people that are looking at her.
She could. I'm sitting here thinking that it could be a whole theme thing. I mean, it would like, it's getting a little bit much, kind of like how Disney now is going to have like Disney communities and like Disney experiences, but it could kind of be like that. You could go to like, they could set up as like a fake, but no, not rip people off, but like bill it as, make fake posters and shirts and stuff for like a benefit for Hawkins, you know? Because there's a certain plot point, and then I'll say no more, but you could have it to be like some of the artists from the show, like this one and one other really, really big one. I don't know who would headline, they'd probably have to fight that out, but like, I bet people would be so into that.
Oh yeah, dang, that's a good idea. Just have like TV show themed stuff happening, whatever it's called.
Yeah, people would love that, I think.
Yeah. You're talking about kind of how much that spiky air-powered power tool sound kind of jumps up and down, kind of all over the place. There's parts where the melody does, where like the vocals do that too.
Yeah.
As we're about to see.
Yeah, no, great segue, you're right. So should we get into this first verse?
Yeah, let's do it.
Right. Cool.
I'm so curious about like how this song got picked for that show that we keep referencing very non-specifically.
Yeah, I've thought about that too, because the guys that are in charge of the show, they definitely use music in a cool way. They always have.
Oh yeah.
And I was thinking that same thing. The first time you hear it, you know, this character is like, has to be the song I picked. This is like my favorite song. I remember being like, I honestly thought for a second that choice didn't exactly fit that character. But I don't know. But I suppose, because they're like, the characters we're talking about are all kind of outsiders. Like, even if they aren't in the original season, they, for whatever reason, like, find themselves being outsiders later.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, in the very first season, there's Should I Stay or Should I Go? And that's like a big part of like the first episode. You're like, oh man, that's so cool. And then I was thinking, well, wouldn't Max like something a little tougher than this? And it's like, yo, not necessarily. Who are you to say? Because it would also be too, the universe wouldn't have depth if it was like, oh, all these kids right here, they like kind of edgy stuff, kind of like punk stuff, maybe even heavier stuff.
Yeah, like Will and his brother.
Yeah, they all like the same semi-hard rock. It's like hard to define, but it's all bad. It'd be like, that's not really fair.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
And she's going through some stuff.
Oh, good
And
point.
so it's been kind of hard for me to remove the song from the context of like what she's dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been trying.
Yeah, actually, I forgot about that last piece. True. Darn. Maybe just a simple fact of the lyrics later in the song. Maybe someone like brought it to the showrunners. Were like, hey, you know how with this like story arc going, this is a song that's like period correct.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I wonder, just I don't know, being like a little bit savvy or calculating, like, could they have gotten it cheap?
Mm.
You know, as an indie artist, you could have been like, yo, just give me royalties later. You don't have to even pay me for it now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And, you know, it'd be really cool if this, like, I mean, certainly independent movies probably try to use independent music. At least I would think so. So, like you said, it could be cheaper. And, you know, it's kind of bringing up people at a similar level of you and all. But it'd be cool if, like, mainstream, you know, top 10 on Netflix type shows would use more independent music going forward. And, like, bring more light to independent artists.
Yeah.
Just paying all these already rich people that own labels and stuff.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I know, and it's a good way to like reach back in time and be like, this artist. I mean, not that she was totally unknown or unheard of, but it's like she deserved more. And now with a period piece, we have the power to do that.
Yeah.
It's kind of neat to think about.
And it's really cool too that like the internet can help us do that. You know, we have access to pretty much any music that was ever recorded.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know.
Yeah,
it's very cool.
I know. But what about this verse? It's kind of, we've had this several times where the first verse in a vacuum, or the intro plus the first verse, if that's all you get, you almost feel like a detective. You're just like, well, let him finish, because I don't know what's going on yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely think that with this first verse.
Yeah. It's that like draw you in method, I think.
Definitely.
Just like, don't you want to know? Do you feel what I feel?
Yeah.
Do you want to hear about it? Do you want to listen?
I love the performance though. I mean, she has a cool voice. She has an interesting voice, and I wonder if it was kind of in that time of like budding pop music where American singers wanted to sing like British singers, and British singers wanted to have like no accent. So it's almost, if it's especially like a one-hit wonder or two-hit wonder, or some band only had one album, to me from the 80s, it's impossible to tell like where a group is from.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I think these are like one of the LA party bands. I'm like, no, Liverpool. One of their dads worked for the Beatles. And they're like, wow, I would have never known that. But she's an English artist, but I don't know, she doesn't really sing with an accent to me.
Yeah. No, not really.
Except for maybe when she says, I would say maybe the hook or the like title line, that vowel is a little bit like English pronunciation, but yeah, in this first verse, I mean, it could have been any like radio single at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of which, it always reminds me of like Girls Just Want to Have Fun, which was just 2 or so years before this song.
Wow.
Very like synth pop, you know, representative of the era, but also like, as we're seeing, still relevant. Like you said, it's a pop song again.
Yeah. You talking about the Cyndi Lauper version?
Oh yeah,
Famous version. Yeah. Yeah. Because there's one before that. It's like a cool, dark, more emo version, sung by a man.
I think I have heard this before and just forgot that it was a thing. So it's still just thinking of Cyndi Lauper's version.
Yeah, well, that's the way it works. I mean, if you have the most famous one, that's it. Yeah, cool. But yeah, this song, I can like actually draw a lot of similarities now that you say that.
Yeah.
We get that fun toy, whatever it is. I think it's a synthesizer, honestly. It's just so affected and so filtered.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's almost like there's a gate on the way it's played. So it's played on beat, and then the sound kind of like buds out of that. And you're like, why is it coming like that? Why is it coming at me like that?
Yeah.
Just let it not do that.
Which does kind of remind me of like a keyboard that has a bunch of built-in sound effects, and like some of them aren't just like right when you push them.
Yeah.
Just like have like a pre-recorded sound that will sometimes it'll like build and stuff.
Yeah, you're right. Oh yeah. It does sound like like an actual patch and like wires, and it just the physics of it take a second or a millisecond or whatever. Yeah.
Do you know enough about like music production at this time and like how digital they were getting? Because we see all this like increase in synthesizers and it kind of makes its way into a whole genre of popular music. But were they starting to record digitally, or were they still cutting tape? Or certainly they didn't have the software that we have now.
Mm-hmm. But I think by the 80s there had to have been some state-of-the-art studios that were using floppies. Mm-hmm. Even the big ones, like not the what did we used to have to take, 3.5s, but like the 5 1/4, the ones that were actually flexible, pliable. I was trying to think about, because I watched a documentary about pop music, and it kind of jumped all over. It started in the 90s, but then it went back in time, and there was a whole segment about the genius that invented autotune as we think of it today. He has a software company called Antares, I think, and a couple guitar effect companies have worked with him, because he was just born to do this. But I think he got started in the late 80s.
Cool.
I don't even know what that would be like. I mean, there's no way that the interfaces were easy
or user friendly.
Yeah, user friendly, fun to look at, or even easy to stare at.
Yeah, because we kind of know that like that software being more user friendly is part of what allows more people to like create music. You don't really have to be musical.
Nope.
But I'm just trying to imagine her like kind of. We'll see later on in the song. It seems almost like sometimes just parts are pulled and like put into the outro and just moved around in really cool ways, and it just seems really impressive to be that 37 years old.
Yeah, it is that. I'll give you that. But I think a lot of people were just actual technicians or engineers when it came to multi-tracks. They'd be like, let's do this whole thing on one track, and then what we'll do later is not use that one, and then we'll play that again from earlier on this track we didn't use while you were recording other stuff, and then it'll be all mixed in there. Like there were people that thought really creatively about that stuff. But once it was like more than one track, people were like, oh my gosh. Like the first time something was 2 or 4 tracks, they were like, this is basically infinity. Well, just wait.
Yeah. Wow. But yeah, this first verse, and so far it's been very like spacey. There's a lot of room, and that makes that synthesizer sound that we talk about really stand out and still kind of like grab your attention. I'm so far still just like, what is happening? But it also does. I don't know if it's because it's associated with that huge Netflix show, but it feels pretty ominous too. Like it's kind of spooky.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Yeah. Well, should we get to the chorus?
Yeah.
To the chorus.
Let's do it.
Cool. Man,
it's a good chorus.
It is a good chorus. That's the part we were looking for too. Like that's the part that I think most people know. And I know that for a while, right after, again, late June, early July, or whenever it was, this was a huge TikTok sound. Just that part, like and if I only could and make a deal with God, people were like, dude, okay. And then, it's depending on how creative the person was, they would like use more of it, run up that road, run up that hill. It's so funny.
I know, there is something cool about like being able to use sounds in that way and like take parts of songs and use them for whatever's happening on TikTok. And sometimes it makes you roll your eyes, and sometimes it blows your mind in a really cool way.
Yeah.
And it's something we've talked about a good bit about, like how technology and music change together. And I was thinking about it while we were talking about music production and how engineers were just good at making it work, as far back as the early 20th century or whatever. But I've learned recently that there's a whole type of CD, which, we're kind of past CDs now because everything's so digital and on tiny little hard drives and all. But there's a type of CD that was invented just for like music. And so there've been situations, at least this one that I can't remember the specific type of CD, but at least as one example, music kind of like gave someone reason enough to like advance technology so that they could, I don't know, have like a deluxe version of the album, you know, have some extra tracks on it, so it would allow for more space to just be on this little plastic disc. Just amazing to me.
That is amazing. I heard a story once that the president or the CEO of Sony or some company like that, his favorite piece ever was, say, like Beethoven's Fifth or Beethoven's Seventh, and it's 76 minutes long, whichever one it is. And he was like, so they're trying to figure out what they should do, like how costly it would be to make a CD pack like hundreds of minutes or 30 minutes or what, because like they're looking at how long albums were, and they couldn't really decide because CDs are, I mean, they've always been really, really cheap to manufacture.
Right.
And they were like, well, we just need like some benchmark, and he told them make them 76 minutes because it will fit the whole, again, whichever symphony, it will fit the whole thing, and you won't have to change discs and you won't be interrupted.
Wow.
So yeah, something like that, like how big should we make it? How good should we make it? You know?
Yeah. It'd be cool if we're talking about the same thing. Like if it was created and designed to fit that much data for that reason. So if you know, let us know if you know what you're talking about, because sometimes we don't.
Exactly. Yeah, we're just saying like, I think it might be this, and I think it might be that too, but we don't really know. We don't really remember. We don't have it right in front of us.
Yeah. But yeah, what a chorus.
Yeah, I love the driving synth chords. They're like bouncy and they're just stuttered. I don't know. It's definitely like gives it momentum and gives it speed, but it's not quite like running. I don't know. Maybe it's like a sprint, but like the way she sings is definitely desperate, and you know, like someone at the end of their rope. But the music, like a lot of pop music, is really fast and really like exciting. Not like super loud and not really overdone like what we think about like music today, but just there's like a real synthy, because like the vocals distract you so much, but you stop and listen, there's like a chugging, pulsing synth part underneath there that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
And it I guess I'll say it plays nicely against how legato, kind of slow, and how like choral of a performance she's given like on the lyrics.
Yeah. There's a part during the chorus where, and that's kind of why I asked what instrument it was. Kind of just always wondering, you know, if it's something like a incredibly effective guitar or like a keyboard or something. Just I need to know, but there's a part in the chorus where it sounded like a guitar to me, just like how it's swelling or something. But I've never really heard a guitar make that sound, so that'd be cool too in another way.
Yeah, I know. I heard a couple of, I was listening to a bunch of stuff today trying to find songs, and I heard a couple really whacked out guitar tones that I liked, that I thought, well, cool. People aren't really doing this, or people are dabbling in this, but they don't have the courage to really make it sound dirty like this one. I think that I was talking about, though, there's a part in the chorus where it moves at a tempo that is, it just feels like a guitar, it sounds like a guitar. I know it's hard to describe, but
yeah,
a keyboard player usually, they can move quick in a certain way, and then when a guitar moves quick, it just doesn't sound exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's weird, but
well said, actually.
Thank you. No. So there's the part, there's like the best, everyone's favorite part. The most iconic part. I mean, now it is iconic. Whatever, a billion people saw season 4, and this song was like, at least subconsciously, cool, I know that song, or I've heard that before.
Yeah,
that's it.
It kind of stands out. It's a pretty powerful moment, and enough people have just been like, I need to find that song and use it in my TikTok or just ride around to it. I don't know. It's been everywhere.
Yeah. And I think, it took us a second to realize this, but another great thing they did is it's not just, maybe it's like related to the idea of people connecting with these characters or wanting to go to their high school or be in their club, but it's not just that we hear the music and associate it with something that we love. Like people always say that the Forrest Gump soundtrack is one of the best, or Remember the Titans or whatever. Maybe Remember the Titans is a good example because not only do we enjoy some of those songs, but there are a few songs that the characters enjoy too.
Yeah.
And that's definitely the case here. Like if you want to be one of the kids, or want to be one of their teachers or something, you're like, man, I missed their teacher from the AV club from the first season. What happened to that guy or whatever? Like they not only play the song for the audience, but the characters like call it out too.
Yeah.
So
So that's cool.
It's like when Nike made the blazers with the colors from Hawkins High, and like did a whole bunch of special edition stuff. People were like, oh, is it corny to get that? I'm gonna get it.
Gotta have it.
I already ordered it. So I don't know why I asked. And you're like, neat. Because you want to feel, or I assume, if you really love the show, you want to feel like even more connected than just like, I got the soundtrack. You know?
Yeah, definitely. That made me think of so many things. Remember the scene where I think they're looking for a similar effect of a song, music for Nancy.
Mm-hmm.
This has been kind of memeified, which I just made up. I feel like that's, probably a thing. Anyways, and shout out to, I think it's called Sadie Hawkins Pod, which is a Relient K podcast that I recently discovered.
Yeah.
They made a meme, or at least shared a meme, where everyone's looking through Eddie's music collection, and one of the other characters is like, what is this? We need like music. And he's like, this is music. But they just had like, forget and not slow down. What are these? We need a Relient K album. And then it's like, this is a Relient K album.
Wow,
and it's
dude.
Collapsible Lung,
Ah.
which is a great album. I love that album, but just love that so much. I keep thinking about it.
Dang, that's funny. Wow. That's how you know the fans were like, I don't know, it's more about them than you. Like, we don't like this one. What else you got? I'm like, what? You know? Like the opposite of Star Trek fans, or trying to think of what would be another example, but like, Star Trek fans don't care. They'll go see the movie in theaters multiple times, doesn't matter if it's like not a great.
Yeah.
But apparently not Relient K fans. Like, no, that one's not good. I don't like that one. I don't count that one.
Yeah, it's a very specific reference there for Relient K fans.
What about verse 2?
Yeah, let's hear it. Spotify, if you're listening, please make it easier to scrub.
Dude, yeah. Yeah. Like when you hit more or whatever you did to change the view, the indicator dot and the bar get 0% bigger. So the whole screen's taken up by lyrics, the visualizer, and the thing stays the same. And if you have any fully developed adult fingers, it's difficult. You can, I don't even know if I'm touching it a lot of the times.
Yeah.
I'm just like, just rubbing my phone. Dang, I was thinking that there's a part in this verse where I think it's, oh, tell me we both matter, don't we? The vocals are like doubled and like chorused and all harmonized and like vocoded. It's like crazy, but to me it's a nice foreshadow for a couple of parts later. Like there's a big huge refrain, and it's hard for me to tell if it's the pure chorus or the refrain that is used so much in the show, and even heck in the TikTok sounds. But there's a lot of parts later where the vocals are not as pure and crisp and delicately sung as they are in the verses. And to like that part sneaks in there and then goes away really quick.
Yeah. There's so much happening, and I think this is my preferred verse. You know, it kind of just actually gives us more, kind of a lot more substance than the first one.
Yeah,
because we're in it now.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Also, the word asunder is a great word.
Mhm.
And then you're like, whoa, how are you gonna paint yourself out of this corner? How are you gonna unmop this floor? And then she throws the word thunder in. You're like, dang.
Yeah, perfect.
I would have come up with that, I think, you know? Yeah, you're right, it's perfect. It fits.
And I love there's thunder in our hearts.
Mhm.
It's really powerful.
Yeah, I do too.
Like, you know, we've gotten the chorus once, and then it's like we're really feeling stuff like together.
Mhm.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe just more of, like, once they were kind of leaning toward this song, they liked the chorus, and they're like, well, there's little things that aren't like a one-to-one correlation between what's happened in the show, but kinda. Like,
Mhm.
you know, like, again, not to give away too many big things in the show, but I mean, I think the newness, like the used word phenomenon earlier, the phenomenon's like kind of worn off. But there's a part where one character is being very honest and open, like, I hated this other person, but I mean, I loved him too. Like, so it's tricky, it's hard to explain. I mean, I hated him, but I miss him. And I just kind of think it's a nice parallel. Is there so much hate for the ones we love? Oh, tell me we both matter, don't we?
Yeah.
Dang. Huh. And who knows, Kate Bush could be honest in an interview and be like, well, this is kind of one of those songs that I had the melody and I kind of thought some lyrics needed to go there, so I sort of filled them in, and, you know, everybody else is reading so much into it.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be kind of amazing, actually.
Mm-hmm.
That seems like John Lennon's only approach whenever in the Get Back documentary.
Yeah.
He's just like, just sing the melody until you find the words for it.
I know, I can't believe that, but I've heard recordings of people doing that. People just fill in syllables, and it sounds like, is that just mumbling? And then later it becomes like one of your favorite songs.
Yeah, I've seen like Mac Miller doing that.
I was thinking of Mac Miller. Cool. Yeah.
They just put I Love You, Thank You, I think that's what it's called, like an old mixtape on Spotify. And I got a notification that it's like on my release radar.
Whoa.
It's like, this song's out, and I was like, do I recognize that title? And I played it, and I was like, okay, I know this song.
Huh.
But it's on Spotify now. It's like his 6th mixtape or something.
Oh man, wow.
That was cool, I guess.
That's really cool. Dang. I like that we get a little something we've never gotten before, the it's you and me and you won't be unhappy.
Yeah, there's a double negative there.
Yeah. That kind of stuff, like, really informs where I end up going with the song. Like, lines like that, or lines that are emphasized in that kind of way. I'm like, well, that is so deliberate and intentional. I'm gonna be thinking about that the whole rest of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just love how it happened, I think, in the first verse too. So that both the final lines of the verses that start with you. Just like these like piercing oohs. Like she kind of breaks the you up into 2 syllables, and it's just like, and I think in the first verse there's more of like a yo. So there's a lot of those just like syllables, just like one vocal note kind of piercing through everything, that are really cool to me.
Yeah, me too. Because that's like what makes singing is when people can like do fun stuff with syllables that's also melodic, and you go, oh man, oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, we ready for the chorus again?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yo, there's a yo in the chorus too, before see if I only could.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. In this chorus, the could lasts so long and it's so like drawn out, and she over sings it, almost to kind of like play with and like have a feature with that fun synthy part. It's like awesome.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I was kind of mentioning that the melody jumps all over the place. Isn't it just like a very unusual melody? Like to just go, if I only could, and then like the could is like way down, like lower. I don't know, just it's amazing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I think it is kind of it is original, not unoriginal, because I think like we like tight melody. That pop music has gotten us conditioned to almost monotone.
Yeah.
And melodies that don't stray very far from the specific chords.
Yeah.
that are being used. But as long as it is not out of tune, you can take liberties. You can go up. Yeah, but I like that. I love that the could and God are both low, and the way she just sings them is like it's so neat. Yeah, and that's why I said choral earlier. It's like it seems like an old timey chorale, or like a hymn or a gospel worship kind of piece. In that there's like so much fun stuff to sing. You know?
Yeah.
Like music from a certain time, like 1600s to 1700s, it was mostly almost all church music. And it was like, let's make it as beautiful and flowery and overdone as possible. And that's this very similar interval. Like you're saying, if I only could, like drop way down.
Yeah. Man, I'm like imagining like a choir singing the song now. And just like voices only, even just a cappella. That'd be really cool.
That would be really cool.
Really powerful.
Especially because some of the stuff later, a cappella groups love to just make so much noise and be like, we don't need instruments. Watch all this noise.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Yeah. There's also a line in the chorus that just makes me think of Max every time, which is, and I'd get him to swap our places.
Yeah.
Because that's, I think often a sentiment whenever you lose someone. It's like, why wasn't it me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't know that it kind of seems like, especially later on, this is maybe referring to just like more of like, kind of walking in someone else's shoes, or like the experience. I think it even uses the word experience, just like kind of being aware of like other people being different from you. But I think because of the connection to the show and the characters in the show, that always evokes like more loss and grief.
Darn, yeah. Huh, yeah.
So that's still me struggling with trying to separate it and not really quite being able to.
I know, but I can't either. I mean, because that like little piece of survivor's guilt is a huge part of this latest season.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if there were people that were like, dude, that song, like the song they wrote for Max, Like, I wouldn't be surprised if people at first glance were like, dang, like, they're gonna have a playlist, they're gonna have a soundtrack, I can't wait to get it, see about that theme song for Max. And people are like, nah.
Yeah, because I mean, that is the thing that, like, I wonder if the theme song for the show was created, or like borrowed, used from something else.
I think it was.
Written for it.
Yeah, I think it came like from scratch.
That's cool.
But boy, for a couple years there, did everything sound like that? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Dang. And then we get some weird kind of sections just because it goes on for a while. Like it is a 5-minute song, and it doesn't get repetitive because it's stylistically different enough, but it's like the same idea and the same parts lyrically pretty much.
Yeah, yeah. And we're right at about halfway through it.
Oh, nice. Well, should we play this little bridge section?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, so there's the let's exchange the experience there at the end of the bridge.
Yeah.
Which I was referring to.
I love, this is what I was talking about earlier, the let me steal this moment from you now. She's like, her voice has been doubled and one of them's really deep. The junk's creepy to me. It's
oh yeah.
It's like, I think I talked about this just a few episodes ago, but anytime like possession is depicted in TV and movies, it almost always sounds the same. I'm like, oh, that's like not a trigger for me, obviously that's a little silly, but just something that I can barely put up with. I just hate the way it sounds.
Yeah.
And it is also scary to think about, but mostly, no, 50-50. I hate the way it sounds and it's so scary to think about, but I like it here because it's musical. It's not like set apart so much to be unsettling. It's set apart and it blends really well.
Yeah, I kind of don't really notice it so much until it's isolated. Later, if there's like a deep part.
Yeah.
At the outro or the end of that refrain or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's used well, I think.
Yeah, I think so. But I just like it because it's already happened once. It's really prominent there, and it's almost like something underneath the surface is like peeking through.
Ooh.
But like the more you listen to the song, or the deeper you get into the song, you're like, sorry, did your voice just get creepy? And then the singer, the narrator's like, no. You'll never be unhappy. And you're like, well, what else was talking? Because for a second there, I like to think of it that the song's not as pure as it seems on the surface.
And it's used in very specific phrases and very, very specific, less than happy sections of the song. Yeah, that's really cool.
But I've noticed this every section. Every section has a little instrumental piece after it. They want to take time to be like, and also a little musical thing, like a little musical interlude.
Yeah, and I was noticing the synthesizer sound that we keep talking about is like a little bit more focused or something like it. It's not as delayed and spacey and like prominent. It's like a little bit more spiky and it's, I think, even more guitar-like.
Yeah. And it's almost like you don't have as much time, you don't have as much space to explore. Just like put the part in there.
Get them in there.
Yeah.
That like maybe like a counter melody or I don't know exactly what it would be. Just put that kind of like background melody from the synthesizer.
Yeah. Nice. Should we play this refrain?
Yeah, we should.
It goes on for kind of a while. There's like the same thing, most of the same thing 3 times, and there's a little extra part tagged on the end.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay.
Ooh, yeah, things get real interesting in there.
They do. I like the way that 3rd time she does it. She just cannot bring herself to do the melody the exact same. She almost does that thing like blues or jazz singers will do, where they like come in late on purpose, and then that like forces them to change the melody and the timing and everything.
Yeah,
I really like that. It keeps it from being repetitive, but kind of probably what you were getting at is there's so much going on. Like there's just spirits or the fates or chorus line, all the above is just like freestyle, ad-libbing.
Yeah. Yeah, just like layered sounds and voices, and at the end of the repeating chorus thing, the refrain before it kind of varies into see if I only could. There's like, it sounds like backwards voices. Which has me thinking more about like a possessed voice, or like someone that's possessed. Gets real creepy in there.
Yeah, it does.
And there's also something like chugging along that you kind of notice once the lyrics drop out in the few seconds at the end there. That just is really cool actually. Like almost sounds like a guitar. Somebody was just like chugging along on a guitar.
It very well could be a palm muted guitar. And there's a ton of like really electronic sounding chorus guitar that like ruled in the 80s. It just sounds like an artificial guitar.
Yeah, it's like a block of guitar sound.
That was a huge thing. Yeah, I know. I'm trying to make it out too. I couldn't quite, because there's so much to listen to. Like the ears are just pulled in every direction listening to that refrain is what we're calling it. Gosh.
Well,
We're kind of like rolling through these last sections. I feel bad.
no, that's okay. We had a lot to talk about on the scenes. I just want to point out in this refrain, the line "running up that building" has been dropped. It's switched to just the road and the hill.
Yeah.
And then in the last one of that refrain, it just does "if only could be running up that hill with no problems."
Yeah. It's weird that the building went away and with no problems popped up.
Yeah, and it's kind of like there's like parts that are being stripped out and just like, all right, now we're just doing these. We're just gonna kind of repeat these, and drill them in.
Yeah.
We like the way they sound better. And "running up that hill" is the title, so does that make sense?
That does make sense, yeah.
But it's an interesting image. Like you kind of alluded that the music almost feels like running and certainly very desperate. So I get images of like running up a road and then a road that's on a hill. But then running up that building, I just have to picture someone just like running up the side of it like a superhero, like the Flash does that all the time.
Yeah, no.
And then only just a few minutes ago it was like, I mean, I guess it's like stairs in a bit. They have stairs.
Yep. I thought that too. I was like, this song could be about a superhero, honestly. And I was like, well, you could like an elevator goes up a building, and they're not on the outside. Sometimes they are, but they're not. Like, we don't think of them as on the outside.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, she means, yeah, running to the top of a building.
Yeah.
On the inside. Yeah.
Cool. You ready to hear the outro?
Yes, very ready. I like this part. Man,
Yeah, there it is.
it's like really detuned.
Yeah. I think maybe even that's what I was referring to with like where I noticed the low voice.
Yeah.
So it definitely sounds like it was recorded maybe at a normal, the actual melody or something, and then it was like pitched down.
Or slowed down.
Yeah.
But I don't know, because it doesn't really slow down. It at least doesn't feel like it. Not dramatically enough to affect the pitch that severely.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, it's cool.
That's very cool.
Man, what a fun song. I mean, it just, to me, like I used the word iconic earlier, but the chorus is really kind of triumphant. And I think iconic because it was like a real cultural moment. It just matched perfectly with that character, with that character's story in the fourth season. And then it's just like, everybody knows this song now.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's amazing.
Well, I picked it. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
You can go after. I think the way the song starts with a long, deliberate intro, it's a little bit like, I mean, this is an indie artist that brought us a song, but it's a little bit like experimental and avant-garde. And to me, whenever there's a long intro, it means the artist is really like preparing themselves. That even if it's in the studio, that's like a feeling that I always think of. They're trying to get ready to get up the courage to sing or start singing.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, thank you. But then, like the way these verses are to me, they're just so inside reference or intimate. But honestly, they don't. Maybe the second verse is intimate. I guess I will leave that alone. So they're intimate, and then the chorus is a little bit of a take a big breath and give a big memorable performance and make sure people have the melody, especially the if I only could, I'd make a deal with God. Like get that stuck in their heads and make sure people know that part. But I gotta say, like lyrically and with the imagery in the song, it's kind of one of those, to me, breakup songs, even if it's not specifically about that. It's just kind of one of those songs that's talking about, I don't know, maybe doing everything it can lyrically and thematically to link two people together that maybe aren't necessarily supposed to be linked together. Like songs that like just begging the other person or begging the lover or trying to
running up a hill.
Yeah. Or trying to like jog their memory, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. And I just think it, I don't know, one, it's a little, like we said, desperate, but I mean desperate in an honest way, not in a we're judging them way. And then later on, there seems to be, like I said, like creepy stuff coming out, or like a not as pure intentions seeping through, at least based on the way it sounds, based on the times that the lyrics are accented with that extra voice and that ominous feel. And I kind of think it is like a song about a love that shouldn't be, a love that's not meant to be, a love that's wrong, a love that's hurtful. And then to me that lends to the idea that this person would have to seek divine intervention to make it work or to keep it. So I like thinking of it as the narrator, the main character of the song, the person that we like imagine singing the song is like evil, or maybe not even evil, just selfish to the point of like badly motivated. So they're like trying to do whatever they can to keep this other person, and not like in some of the like really cool and admirable ways like we've had in some songs, but just in like a, you don't understand what I'm willing to do to like keep us together.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool, and a neat thing. I think all that doesn't take it away from love song to me. I think it's still a love song, even if it's not a pure form of love where it's like a wrong kind of love.
Yeah, or a wrong pairing or cool. Nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, just now that there's an Avery Brothers song that's like, and you'll probably know the title of it immediately, but not even the hand of God could hold me back from you. And just kind of listing all these like powerful forces, not even a bullet, not even the sun.
Yeah.
Which is undeniably a love song.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head that maybe the narrator knows that it's not good for them or that it's not good for the other person, but like they're still really, really going for it and like would, you know, if they could, like you said, divine intervention. And it's interesting too that God is not a figure that, you know, historically or in literature you would make a deal with. It's the other one that makes deals. So it's interesting also that we refer to a lot of like demonic characters and possession and stuff. But it is still very slow and very spacey, and there's you know, the word love in there, and it's like a really powerful love that they have for this character, and I can't help but think of like it being about someone that's passed because of the trade places part, and you know, that's maybe part of why it could be wrong too, is that like, you know, if this person's gone, then of course there's no way for it to be for them to be together again, you know, until they're both gone or maybe even never. So there's like that impossible obstacle in the way, but I think it's still very obviously one character being like undescribably in love with someone else and being willing to do whatever. So I also have to say love song.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking, as we were talking about it too, about this thing you brought up, that the label was concerned about like, whoa, chill, like deal with God and all the sound of that. And that is seldom a thing. That's, you're right. I thought that too during the way he was talking about the mention of angels and let me steal this moment from you now. I was like, oh, this person's just saying they're going to talk to God. Maybe they're not, like you said, the other one, maybe they don't have to talk to God at all.
Yeah. Also, we mentioned that she owns her own label, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point.
We were kind of using that as like, well, maybe that's why she put the God part in parentheses, but she's her own label.
Yeah, she has her own label. Two of those things can't exist at the same time.
Yeah.
Unless she was just saying that and blaming it on the label. It doesn't exist. So maybe it was like it wouldn't get picked up in this country or picked up in England or something.
Oh yeah,
like
or
that.
like put on secular radio.
Yeah. Well, the article I read may have been just inaccurate. I wasn't thinking of this the whole time, but are you thinking of The Greatest Song?
Yes.
At first I was trying to think of it while you were talking, then I had to not think of it and it came to me. So I had to focus on what you were saying.
Awesome. Yeah, that's the Avery Brothers song that I referenced.
with like a lot of similar themes. But yeah,
Right.
I'm glad you said that because it is like, is God really in that business that we know of?
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that turned out to be a very interesting one, and we had a lot to say about it.
Well, you'll let us know what y'all think. I'm sure you've heard the song by now, and the show for that matter. But
Yeah, let us know what it's called.
yeah, and let us know, if you enjoy the song, or if we got it totally wrong, if you know more about Kate Bush, or you were just like us, kind of fascinated and started researching right away and actually remembered all the stuff you read.
Yeah, if you want to school us on music production in the 80s or
Yes.
or whatever,
That'd be cool.
just say hi.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
But thank y'all so much for listening or watching.
Yeah, for real, we appreciate y'all. Again, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It was a good pick.
Thanks.
It was a great idea.
Thank you.
And we'll talk to y'all next week.